If you're over 60 or even getting close to it, there's a truth you absolutely can't afford to ignore. Most people don't lose their mobility because of age, they lose it because they stop training the muscles that keep them upright, stable, and able to move confidently. And the worst part, the decline sneaks up quietly. One day you feel fine, and the next, simple things like getting out of a chair, walking upstairs, or bending down to tie your shoes start to feel harder than they should. So today, I want to talk to you about 3 core exercises that you will genuinely regret ignoring if you don't start doing them now. Not because they'll give you six-pack abs or make you look younger, but because they are the foundation of independence, balance, pain-free movement, and long-term strength as you age. And I'm telling you right now, if you stay with me through this whole video, you're going to understand your body better, move better, and you might even prevent some of the problems that many people assume are just a normal part of aging.
Most people believe that once you cross 60, your body just naturally starts slowing down, stiffening up, and losing its ability to move the way it used to. They think it's a built-in part of aging, something that can't be avoided. But the truth is far different and way more empowering. What really steals mobility from most people isn't their age. It's the gradual weakening of the core muscles that hold everything together. This decline doesn't happen overnight. It happens silently, slowly, almost invisibly, until one day you notice that getting out of bed takes a little more effort, or you struggle to stand up after sitting for a long time, or a simple walk around the block leaves you feeling unstable. The misconception that aging automatically equals loss of mobility is the reason so many people over 60 never take action. And because they don't take action, the decline speeds up. The body adapts to what you do regularly, and if what you do regularly is sit, move less, and avoid challenging your muscles, the body adapts by becoming weaker, stiffer, and less responsive. That's why the core becomes such an important focus. It is the center of nearly every movement you make. When these muscles are strong and active, they support your spine, they protect your joints, they allow you to twist, bend, walk, lift, and balance without strain. When they are ignored, the body begins to compensate in ways that lead to discomfort, instability, and even injury. Most people don't notice their core getting weaker because the process is slow. It starts with tiny signals that feel like minor inconveniences. Maybe your lower back feels tired more often. Maybe you start using your hands to push yourself up from a chair. Maybe your steps become shorter and more cautious. These changes feel subtle at first, but they are actually early warnings that your core is not supporting your body the way it should. The muscles responsible for stability, especially the deep ones you can't see, begin to switch off when they aren't trained regularly. The body will always choose the easiest path, which often means relying on the wrong muscles for the wrong tasks. That leads to even more imbalance. Over time, these minor shifts stack up and eventually reach a point where the body simply doesn't respond the way it used to. That moment, for many people, feels like sudden aging, when in reality it's just the result of years of neglected core strength. What makes this even more important to understand is that core strength plays a massive role in preventing falls, which are one of the biggest dangers for people over 60. You don't fall simply because your legs are weak. Most falls happen because the core isn't strong enough to stabilize the body when balance is challenged. Imagine walking on an uneven surface or turning quickly to grab something. If your core can't react instantly and hold you steady, the chance of falling skyrockets. A strong core acts like a built-in stabilizer, keeping your center of gravity controlled and reducing the risk of slipping or tipping. When people strengthen their core, one of the first things they notice is that they feel more secure on their feet, more confident in their movements, and less afraid of stumbling. Another thing many people don't realize is that chronic pain, especially lower back pain, is often a sign of a weak core rather than a sign of age. When the core can't support the spine properly, the lower back tries to do all the work. But the lower back is not designed to be the primary stabilizer. Its job is movement, not constant support. So when it's forced into that role, tension builds, joints get stressed, and pain becomes almost inevitable. This is why so many people complain about persistent lower back discomfort in their 60s and beyond. But strengthening the core can relieve this pressure, allowing the spine to return to its natural alignment and function. Many people are surprised at how much pain disappears once they wake up the deeper core muscles that have been underused for years. Mobility also depends heavily on the strength of the muscles surrounding the hips, pelvis, and lower spine, all of which are part of the core. When these muscles are strong and active, movements feel smoother and more controlled. When they weaken, everyday tasks like bending to tie shoes, reaching for objects, stepping into a car, or carrying groceries can feel awkward or difficult. People often assume stiffness is the problem, but weakness is usually the hidden reason behind the stiffness. As the core weakens, the body tries to protect itself by tightening surrounding tissues, making the whole area feel less flexible. Restoring strength to the core naturally restores mobility, making the body feel younger, lighter, and more capable. Independence is another major piece of this puzzle. The ability to move freely without depending on support, without needing someone to steady you, and without fearing everyday activities comes directly from maintaining a strong core. Independence isn't about doing extreme workouts or pushing your body to its limit. It's about preserving the muscular foundation that gives you control over your movements. People who maintain strong core muscles into their 60s, 70s, and beyond consistently report feeling more energetic, more capable, and more connected to their bodies. They stay active longer, they stay social longer, and they remain confident in doing the things they enjoy. The body is incredibly adaptable even later in life, but it adapts to what you demand of it. When you challenge the core with the right exercises, it responds quickly, rebuilding stability and strength that many people think is long gone. Ignoring these muscles is what leads to regret later, not because of appearance or fitness standards, but because of the slow, preventable loss of freedom in everyday life. Once people begin to feel the consequences of a weak core, they often say they wish they had started strengthening it earlier. The good news is that it's never too late. The body can rebuild strength at any age, and core training is one of the most effective ways to reclaim control, confidence, and long-term mobility.
Most people hear the word core and immediately picture the front of the stomach, maybe a six-pack, maybe a few crunches, and that's where their understanding ends. But the core is far more complex, far more important, and far more involved in your daily life than anything you see in the mirror. It's not a single muscle, and it's definitely not just the abs. The core is an entire 360-degree support system made up of muscles that wrap around your torso like a natural weight belt. It includes the deep layers of your abdomen that lie beneath the muscles you can see, the muscles along your lower back that stabilize your spine, the obliques that help you twist, the hips that guide movement, and the glutes that act as the powerful engine behind your lower body. All these muscles work together as a team, and when that team is strong and coordinated, every movement in your day becomes easier, safer, and more controlled. When even one area gets weak or shuts down, the entire system is thrown off balance, and that's when stiffness, pain, instability, and mobility problems start creeping in. People are often surprised to learn that the core is involved in almost everything they do. Every time you stand up from a chair, your core stabilizes your spine. Every step you take, your core keeps your pelvis steady so your legs can move with balance. When you reach for something on a high shelf, when you turn to look behind you, when you lift a grocery bag, when you get out of the car, or even when you cough or laugh, your core activates to protect you. It's constantly at work, even when you don't realize it, and that's why training it becomes so important as you get older. The stronger and more awake those muscles are, the easier and more natural everyday movement feels. But if they weaken, your body is forced to rely on other muscles that were never meant to take over those roles, and that's when strain begins. The deep core muscles are often the first to weaken because they're not the ones you feel during crunches or sit-ups. These are the muscles that support internal stability, the transverse abdominis, the multifidus, the pelvic floor, and other smaller stabilizers that act like the foundation of a house. You don't see them, you don't feel them working the same way you feel surface muscles, but without them, movement becomes shaky.
Think of them like the roots of a tree. You don't notice them, but if they're not strong, the whole tree becomes vulnerable. Many people over 60 lose the connection to these deep stabilizers because they spend more time sitting, less time moving, and almost no time activating those muscles intentionally. Once these deep muscles switch off, the larger muscles on the surface start doing too much, and that imbalance is what leads to tightness, discomfort, and difficulty moving fluidly. Your lower back is another key part of the core that people overlook. Most people assume lower back pain just happens with age, but a lot of it comes from the lower back being forced to work overtime when the abdominal and hip muscles aren't doing their share. The lower back isn't designed to hold your body upright on its own. It needs support from the front, sides, and hips. When that support team is weak, the lower back tightens up as a protective response. This is why so many people over 60 feel a constant dull ache or stiffness after standing or walking for too long. Strengthening the entire core, not just the abs, helps redistribute the workload so the lower back can relax and do only what it's meant to do. People are often shocked at how quickly back discomfort decreases when they finally start training their core properly. The obliques and hip muscles make up the next major part of the core system, and they are essential for balance. Whenever you twist, reach sideways, shift your weight, or catch yourself from slipping, these muscles activate. As you age, balance becomes one of the most important physical functions to maintain because poor balance is directly connected to fall risk. But you don't lose balance because of your feet or ankles alone, you lose it because your core can't keep your center of gravity stable. When the obliques and hips are weak, the body becomes less responsive. Movements that should feel natural start to feel uncertain, and you become more cautious with every step. A strong core restores that confidence and allows the body to react quickly and correctly when balance is challenged. Your glutes are another massive component of the core that people rarely think about. Strong glutes support the pelvis, reduce pressure on the spine, improve posture, and give you the power to walk, climb stairs, and stand from a seated position without strain. When the glutes weaken, the lower back and hips absorb the extra work, and that's when problems multiply. For people over 60, weak glutes are one of the biggest hidden reasons walking becomes more tiring, standing becomes less comfortable, and maintaining good posture becomes difficult. Training the glutes as part of your core routine helps restore stability in the pelvis, making every lower body movement smoother and less stressful on your joints. Everything in the core is interconnected, which is why strengthening one part benefits the others. When the deep abdomen activates properly, the lower back relaxes. When the hips are strong, walking becomes easier. When the obliques are awake, balance improves. When the glutes fire correctly, the entire spine becomes more supported. This synergy is what allows people over 60 to feel lighter, more agile, and more in control of their bodies. It's not about building muscle for the sake of appearance, it's about training your body to function the way it was designed to. Most people over 60 don't struggle because they're old, they struggle because the core system has weakened, disconnected, and been ignored for too long. Rebuilding the core brings back the strength that aging alone doesn't take away. Understanding what the core truly is, a full-circle support structure rather than just the abs, is the first step to reclaiming mobility, protecting your spine, improving balance, and moving with the kind of confidence that makes you feel years younger.
One of the biggest misunderstandings about aging is the belief that everyday tasks naturally become harder simply because you're getting older. But in reality, much of that difficulty comes from weakened core muscles rather than age itself. When your core loses strength and coordination, even simple movements start to feel challenging in ways that can sneak up on you. Standing up from a chair becomes a slow, deliberate effort instead of something you do automatically. Walking upstairs feels heavier on your legs because your core isn't supporting your body the way it should. Bending down to pick something up becomes a moment where you brace yourself, not because you're fragile, but because your body isn't stabilizing the movement like it used to. These experiences are incredibly common for people over 60, but they're also highly preventable when you understand that the core plays a central role in every one of these motions. You might not realize it, but your core is the silent partner in everything you do. When you rise from a seated position, your deep abdominal muscles and glutes must fire together to lift your upper body and stabilize your spine.
When these muscles weaken, your body compensates by leaning forward more, pushing off with your hands, or rocking back and forth for momentum. People often assume they've simply lost strength in their legs, but in reality, their core isn't providing the support needed to make the movement smooth. The same thing happens when climbing stairs. If the core isn't stabilizing your hips and lower spine, each step feels less secure, and the legs have to work harder to lift your body. This is why so many people begin to grip railings or climb stairs more slowly with age. It's not a lack of cardiovascular fitness or leg strength. It's the core's declining ability to anchor the movement. Walking is another activity that changes dramatically when the core weakens. A strong core keeps your pelvis level, prevents side-to-side wobbling, and allows your legs to swing naturally. When the core isn't doing its job, your stride shortens, your speed decreases, and you might start shifting your weight awkwardly without realizing it. Over time, this leads to joint stress, discomfort in the hips or lower back, and an increased risk of stumbling. Many people notice that long walks tire them out more quickly than before, or that they feel stiff afterward. Again, this isn't just aging. It's the result of a core that isn't absorbing impact or maintaining alignment the way it should. Strengthen those muscles, and suddenly walking feels lighter, smoother, and more comfortable. Another major sign of a weakening core is trouble bending and reaching. When your core is strong, bending forward to pick up an object or reaching into a cupboard is supported by the deep stabilizing muscles around the spine. But when those muscles weaken, movements become shaky or hesitant. You might feel like you need to hold onto something for balance, or that you're unsure of your stability as you bend. Some people even avoid bending completely because it feels unpredictable. This is a clear signal that the core isn't providing the torso stability required for these everyday actions. Strengthening the core helps restore confidence in these movements, making you feel more capable and secure. Balance is one of the most affected areas when the core becomes weak. Many people believe poor balance just comes with age, but the reality is that your balance system depends heavily on your core muscles. These muscles keep your body centered as you shift weight, turn, twist, step over objects, or move across uneven ground. When the core is strong, these adjustments happen instantly and automatically. When it's weak, you feel unsure, wobbly, or overly cautious. You might notice yourself taking smaller steps, avoiding quick turns, or hesitating when navigating curbs or slopes. This kind of hesitation is a protective instinct because your body doesn't feel stable. Unfortunately, that hesitation actually increases the risk of falling. Falls often don't happen because someone trips. They happen because the body can't correct itself quickly enough once balance is lost, and the core is responsible for those rapid adjustments. The fear of falling is a huge issue for people over 60, and it often becomes a cycle. Weak core muscles lead to balance problems, which lead to fear, which leads to less movement, which weakens the core even more. Breaking this cycle means understanding that the core is the engine behind stability. When those muscles get stronger, not only does balance improve, but confidence improves right along with it. You start walking with more certainty, stepping up and down curbs without hesitation, and moving around without that constant sense of caution. You feel more grounded in your body because your core is supporting you again, and that feeling alone can be life-changing. Another often overlooked effect of a weak core is how it impacts posture during daily tasks. When the core can no longer support the spine, your shoulders round forward, your back curves more, and your weight shifts in ways that create discomfort. You might notice stiffness after sitting for a long time, or a sense of fatigue in your lower back after standing. These posture issues don't just affect comfort, they directly affect your ability to move easily. Poor posture can make breathing shallower, walking less efficient, and even make simple tasks feel more tiring. Rebuilding core strength restores the ease and fluidity of these movements, making daily life feel less like a physical challenge and more like something your body is naturally prepared for. The important thing to understand is weakness in your core doesn't announce itself loudly at first. It whispers through tiny changes, a little extra fatigue, a little more heaviness when moving, a slight hesitation with balance, a bit of stiffness after bending. Over time, those whispers grow louder until they turn into frustrations that many people mistake for unavoidable signs of age. But they're not unavoidable. They're signs of muscles that can be retrained, strengthened, and reactivated. Once you reconnect with your core, everyday tasks stop feeling like obstacles and start feeling easy again. reminding you that your body is capable of far more than you think, even well past 60.
Most people reach their 60s believing that the goal of fitness is to stay active enough not to feel old, but they rarely understand how deeply the core controls their quality of life. Strengthening the core at this age has nothing to do with chasing a flat stomach or trying to look like someone decades younger. It's about protecting your independence, preventing pain, and maintaining the ability to move through your day without fear, hesitation, or struggle. A strong core becomes the silent foundation that lets you keep doing the things you love, whether that's walking, gardening, traveling, playing with grandkids, or simply getting around confidently on your own. When the core is strong, your entire body functions with more ease. When it's weak, everything becomes just a little harder, and those small challenges build up slowly until they start limiting your life. For many people over 60, the first signs of a weakening core show up as an increasing sense of uneasiness during activities that used to be simple. Maybe standing up feels like a chore, not because your legs aren't strong enough, but because your core isn't helping your body rise smoothly. Maybe you start taking stairs more carefully, not because you're afraid of heights, but because your balance doesn't feel as steady as it once did. These moments aren't about aging, they're about a lack of the stability that the core provides. Strengthening the core gives your body the strength to move with confidence, the balance to react quickly to unexpected shifts, and the power to maintain good posture without strain. These aren't cosmetic benefits, they're practical ones that affect every single moment of your day. Even pain, which many people assume is an unavoidable part of getting older, often has roots in a weak or inactive core. Chronic lower back pain is one of the clearest examples. When the deep abdominal muscles, obliques, and glutes stop supporting the spine the way they're meant to, the lower back ends up carrying more weight and absorbing more pressure than it should. Over time, this leads to stiffness, aping, and eventually full-blown pain that makes walking, standing, or sitting uncomfortable. But when you strengthen the core, you redistribute the workload back to the muscles that are supposed to handle it. Suddenly, your spine feels lighter, your back feels freer, and movements that once felt like they needed careful planning become smooth again. People often describe this shift as feeling like a weight has been lifted, not because their back is healed overnight, but because their core is finally doing its job again. Another area dramatically affected by core strength is posture. As muscles weaken, the torso begins to collapse forward, the shoulders round, and the lower back curves excessively. This posture doesn't just change how you look, it affects how you breathe, how you move, and how much energy you have. When your torso collapses, your lungs can't expand fully, so you breathe more shallowly. Shallow breathing makes you tire faster, which makes movement feel harder, which makes you move even less. It becomes a downward spiral that many people mistake for aging. But it's not age, it's a lack of core stability. When you strengthen the core, the spine naturally becomes more upright, the chest opens, breathing deepens, and your entire body feels more energized. Posture improves not because you're forcing yourself to sit up straight, but because your muscles finally have the strength to hold your body the way it was designed to be held. The benefits extend far beyond posture and pain relief. Balance is one of the areas where a strong core makes one of the most dramatic differences. Most people don't realize their core is the control center of balance. When you slip on something, when the ground shifts slightly, when you turn quickly, your core fires instantly to stabilize your body. If it's weak, those reactions are slower, less effective, and that's how falls happen. Falls are one of the most serious dangers for people over 60, and they don't happen because of bad luck or weak ankles alone. They happen because the core can't stabilize the torso fast enough to keep your center of gravity controlled. Strengthening your core significantly lowers the risk of falling, not in a subtle way, but in a way you can physically feel. You begin walking with more authority, stepping with more confidence, and moving without the quiet worry that something unexpected might throw you off balance. Strengthening the core also brings back a sense of physical freedom that many people don't even realize they've lost. When your core is strong, you can twist with ease, turn without hesitation, and reach or bend without bracing yourself. You can get in and out of cars more smoothly, pick things up with better control, and perform everyday tasks with less strain. Even activities like carrying laundry baskets, lifting groceries, or cleaning the house become easier because your body's supported more effectively.
These changes don't feel like a workout accomplishment, they feel like getting a part of your life back that you didn't realize had slipped away. What's most important is that strengthening the core has a compounding effect. Once your core gets stronger, movement becomes easier. When movement becomes easier, you naturally stay more active. When you stay active, your muscles, joints, and cardiovascular system all benefit. Before you know it, you start feeling younger, not because you reversed time, but because you restored the physical foundation that time had quietly weakened. This renewed activity level keeps your metabolism higher, your joints healthier, your energy levels stronger, and your mood more stable. Your quality of life improves far more than it would from any surface-level exercise that focuses only on appearance. Independence is something people value more deeply with age, and your core is one of the most important guardians of that independence. It determines how confidently you can move, how safe you feel navigating the world, and how capable you remain in your daily life. People who maintain core strength into their 60s, 70s, and 80s stay more active socially, travel more easily, handle daily tasks without assistance, and experience far fewer limitations. Strengthening your core isn't about looking younger. It's about staying capable, mobile, and self-reliant for as long as possible. When you invest in your core, you invest in a stronger, safer, more enjoyable future for yourself. One where you're not just living longer, but living better, with the confidence that your body can keep up with your life rather than slowing it down.
When people think about exercise over 60, they often imagine long routines, complicated workouts, or movements that feel too intense for their joints. But the truth is that you don't need a massive list of exercises to transform how your body feels and functions. In fact, focusing on just 3 essential core exercises can create a dramatic shift in strength, stability, confidence, and overall mobility. These aren't exercises designed to impress someone at the gym or build a six-pack. They're movements chosen because they target the deepest, most important muscles that protect your body from the inside out. When these muscles get stronger, your balance improves, your posture straightens, your lower back relaxes, and everyday activities become easier in ways you can feel immediately. The reason these 3 exercises are so powerful is that they wake up the muscles that most people have unknowingly allowed to weaken over time. And once those muscles come back to life, everything else in the body starts functioning better. What makes these exercises so effective is that they target the core in a way most people, especially older adults, have never trained before. Traditional core exercises like sit-ups and crunches don't do much for functional strength, and for many people, they can even add strain to the neck and lower back. The core muscles that truly matter, the deep abdominals, lower back stabilizers, obliques, hips, and glutes, need movements that activate them safely and effectively. The key is training the core to work as one connected unit instead of treating it like a single muscle. When the core activates in a coordinated way, it supports your spine, holds your torso steady, and connects your upper and lower body so your movements become smoother and more controlled. These 3 essential exercises are designed to make that coordination natural again, especially for people who haven't trained their core consistently for years. Another reason these 3 movements create such noticeable changes is that they strengthen the muscles responsible for balance. After 60, balance isn't something you can leave to chance. The ability to stay upright, react quickly, and shift your weight safely depends on how strong and responsive your core is. When the core is weak, the body wobbles, hesitates, and feels unstable. When the core is strong, your balance feels automatic. You step with more assurance, you walk with more fluidity, and you stop worrying about losing your footing. These exercises build the stability that keeps you safe while moving, and that safety translates directly into confidence. When you trust your body, you move more. When you move more, you stay stronger. It becomes a positive cycle that feeds your independence. These core exercises also play a huge role in reducing and preventing pain, especially lower back pain. Millions of people assume back discomfort is a normal part of aging, but most of that discomfort actually comes from a weak core. When your core can't support your spine properly, your lower back is forced to take on more strain than it's designed for. That leads to tension, stiffness, and eventually chronic pain. The beauty of the right core exercises is that they retrain the deep abdominal muscles to support the spine from the front, while the glutes and hips support it from below.
Once the workload is distributed correctly, the lower back is free to relax. People often notice relief surprisingly quickly because these exercises address the root cause instead of just the symptoms. As the core strengthens, your posture improves naturally, reducing pressure on the spine even further, making daily movement more comfortable and predictable. What's even more encouraging is that strengthening the core with these exercises doesn't just help you move better today, it protects your body for the future. Many people experience a slow decline in mobility as they get older, not because their age is holding them back, but because their core is no longer supporting them the way it should. When you strengthen the core now, you build a foundation that allows you to stay active, capable, and independent for years to come. You create a body that can handle real-life activities, walking long distances, climbing stairs, lifting light objects, turning and bending easily, driving comfortably, and maintaining balance even when the environment around you changes quickly. Your body becomes more resilient, and resilience is one of the most valuable qualities you can build later in life. The best part is that these 3 exercises don't require special equipment, gym memberships, or athletic ability. They work for beginners, people with joint issues, and those who haven't exercised in a long time. You can do them at home, at your own pace, and adjust them to your comfort level. They're safe, they're accessible, and they're incredibly effective because they strengthen the muscles that matter most for real-world movement. And unlike long workouts that are difficult to stick with, these exercises are simple enough that consistency becomes easy. When something is easy to repeat, it becomes a habit. And when it becomes a habit, your body changes in ways that last. Once people start incorporating these exercises into their routine, they often describe feeling more connected to their bodies. Movements that felt stiff start to loosen. Tasks that felt tiring become manageable. Walking feels more secure, standing feels easier. Even getting out of bed in the morning feels smoother because the muscles that support the spine are finally doing their job again. These changes might seem small at first, but together they create a powerful transformation. Confidence grows as the body becomes stronger, energy increases because movement becomes less taxing, and the fear of injury or falling begins to fade because your body is better prepared to handle daily challenges. Strengthening the core with just 3 essential exercises proves that you don't need complexity to see powerful results. You just need consistency, the right movements, and a willingness to take control of your physical health. The core is the center of everything your body does, and when you invest in it, you invest in a future where you can move freely, stay independent, and enjoy life without being held back by stiffness, weakness, or fear. These exercises offer a simple, realistic path to feeling stronger, safer, and more capable every day.